Hey, Spider fans, welcome back to Spider Sound Off. This is Tom.
And this is Porter.
We are here midweek to record another podcast. It is finals week. We have no test today. I don't have a test prepared for you. I thought about it, but we don't have to take any finals this week, Porter.
No finals for me.
No,
that's great.
The students are taking finals, so there's no midweek games. But what we do have is a special guest today. We have Jim Merritt, a U of R graduate, and now the Associate Athletics Director for Basketball Development, is going to be joining us in a bit.
Excited to have Jim on the show. Really excited to hear kind of what he's up to.
Hey, we want to welcome Jim Merritt today to Spider Sound Off. Jim is the Associate Athletics Director for Basketball Development and also a Spider alum. Jim, we thought maybe just to kick this things off, tell us about your Spider story. What led you going to Richmond back in the day, and kind of what your experience was like as an undergrad.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all. Glad to be with you guys. And so thanks for all you do for Spider basketball in general. But so backing up 1,000 years, I grew up in Kansas City, and then I actually did a 1-year prep school year after I graduated from high school at Lawrenceville in New Jersey. And that's how Richmond got on my radar. But I ended up coming here and playing baseball for, all 4 years. And so I was a poli-sci English major and worked in the athletic department back in the day. But I was kind of here for some of those early glory years of Richmond basketball. And, that's how it got in my blood.
It gets in your blood, doesn't it? Yeah. During the 1980s, that was literally, what started it all. Dick Tarrant. Back in those days.
Well, that's great. So obviously you start off as kind of the athlete, and you worked at U of R and then left and came back. What brought you back?
Well, so I had a couple of different iterations. I mean, I worked in marketing here at U of R in the early days, and then left and worked for a direct mail company, had some side ESPN radio partnership activities, duties, etc. And then I came back to Richmond to do major gift fundraising for the entirety of the university in Maryland Hall. And then our daughter went to Pepperdine, and my wife and I were on the Parents Council at Pepperdine. So I got recruited to go work at Pepperdine as vice chancellor for principal gifts. But one of the big things we worked on was athletics in general, but specifically a new building that they called the Mountain that will house their men's and women's basketball, volleyball, playing arena, practice facility, and then student workout and so forth and so on. But so I was at it in Malibu for the last 3 years, and just came back this fall to this new role that you guys mentioned. But yeah, happy to be back and looking forward to all that it means for Spider basketball, but everything else it encompasses in a holistic way.
Well, we don't get a lot of snow in Richmond, and we've had snow twice in the last 2 weeks. So welcome back to Richmond, Jim, from Malibu.
Yeah, that's a little different. I mean, I traveled a lot while I was there with Pepperdine, covered New York and Chicago and Denver, Kansas City. So I saw plenty of it. And I was actually in Kansas City last week. So I've had 3 snowstorms in 10 days here lately. Yeah. So it's all fine for a while.
So maybe just tell us about your new role. Kind of what is the day-to-day like for you, since it's about 2 months that you've been on?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, I mean, kind of mid-September with a trip driving across the country in between, once I started for a couple of weeks and then packed it up and rolled across the country, which was mostly fun, honestly. I mean, definitely charged with raising funds for men's and women's basketball in all forms, but definitely using men's and women's basketball holistically as kind of the tip of the spear to engage the broader university community, and that means in town and on the road. But primarily trying to raise as much money as possible for Chris Mooney and Aaron Russell's basketball programs.
Right. And obviously, there's been a whole lot of change in just college sports in the past 5 years, where it used to be 100% scholarship and maybe a little stipend, and then everything was like not allowed outside of that. And then the NIL came around and the collectives were born, and now I think just within the last month, you announced these two new funds that have been created. Like, tell us about those funds. Like, what's their purpose? Kind of how are they structured? Just for the general fan, tell us about these new funds you created.
Yeah, I mean, backing up a little bit, the House settlement, as you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with, ushered in the era of direct revenue share payments to student athletes, and the University of Richmond, and its affiliation to the A10 conference, was part of opting into that settlement, and therefore, participating in ongoing revenue share with our student athletes. So at the conference level and then the university level, the board of trustees, the president's office, obviously athletics, all decided to make that a priority and to participate, and that we would do direct payment revenue sharing with our men's and women's basketball student athletes. So that has been decided, and it's been proclaimed, I guess is the right way to say it, as a priority by the university leadership. And so we are, forging full steam ahead with that. But from a day-to-day standpoint, it will fuel the men's and women's programs as they make roster decisions and recruiting and retention and, long-term visibility. And it's not unlike discretionary giving from past years that funded travel, equipment, coaching, experience, et cetera. You talk to our coaches and in general, and this is the most important, way to fund their programs for future success. So we are, doing that in-house with all of our partners in athletic fundraising, but also the entirety of the university from a fundraising standpoint. Everybody's decided it's important, and it's kind of part of our overall engagement strategy with alumni, donors, et cetera. So we're raising money for men's and women's basketball, but we're definitely using it, as I said, as kind of a tip of the spear for engagement for other fundraising and really just overall engagement strategies.
Now, just trying to think of how it all fits to where we were. So is there still kind of the Spider Athletic Fund, kind of more of the general fund for kind of other sports, or just to fund the athletic department? Like, what has changed? Because I think that used to be kind of the main fund that they would kind of advertise to alumni, that was kind of 100% sports.
So there's a couple of different elements to that. So there's the Spider Athletic Fund, essentially called the Competitive Excellence, and that's kind of unrestricted to athletics in general. Then not below that, in addition to that, there are discretionary funds for every sport. So you can decide whatever sport you want to support directly. You can give money to that, to whether it's women's lacrosse or, men's baseball or whatever. You can do that. And you can obviously multiply designate to all that stuff. That's one of the things that we're doing a lot of with our new basketball funds, that we hope alums will multiply designate gifts to wherever they want to make an impact. And we hope this is one of them. So, but anyway, and then newly created are the men's and women's basketball student athlete development funds, which, is the philanthropic, account for the direct revenue share payments down the road with our men's and women's basketball student athletes.
And maybe just to kind of state the obvious, as a women's fund, so if you give to that, like, that's going to pay current or future players on the women's team, and there's a men's fund, and they're kind of restricted for one side of one team versus the other.
Yeah, as a donor, you can decide that we hope you'll support both, but you can do either, and it's not like one gift to one fund that gets distributed later. It's a donor choice of what you want to do. Either
That's
one.
awesome.
Yeah.
And competing in the A10, how are we doing? I mean, what are the other A10 teams doing in this kind of area? Are we ahead of them? Are we similar? I mean, what's that look like from an A10 perspective?
So it's as John Hart says, it's kind of iterative, and we're flying the plane as we're building it, and everyone else in the conference is too. And I think they're trying to get to sooner than later. I know they're hiring a new commissioner, in the next 6 months or so. I think they would love to get to the point where there's transparency on exactly what each team is or plans to do with this. So it's a fluid situation. So we're knee deep in raising as much money as possible now. The university recognizes how valuable basketball is for a number of reasons. The success that we've had over the years, there's nothing like bringing the entirety of the university community together, and that includes faculty, staff, alumni, parents, city of Richmond, et cetera, and success brings it together even more. And then, the zenith is the, NCAA bids and so forth. So that is the pot at the end of the rainbow, trying to be good enough to get into position to be in postseason play.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing about it is that, just the actual metrics of brand exposure that you get from regular season, TV appearances on ESPN and CBS College Sports and USA, et cetera. And then that is again magnified by, conference play and again, the zenith of NCAA play. So you can't begin to buy that kind of brand exposure that comes with it. But then the other part that kind of ties it all together, and, one of the reasons I love doing this is that, we are graduating good kids who are good students, that are good people, and they represent this place well. And, to get the kind of kids that can do all that and be successful, on the court, that this is what it's going to take going forward. And so everyone has bought in to that. So that's kind of like the why of we're doing this, but it all is tied together with Chris and Aaron are obviously great people, and they attract great kids that can balance all that and have success as well.
So you mentioned our coaches. Like, what is that interaction model like? Like, are you, because you're trying to raise funds, just kind of bring them as like a voice to talk to alumni? I'm sure alumni would be like, I want to talk to coach, that's like a pleasure. But like, what is that interaction like with you of kind of getting their help in this process? Because like you said, this is all to kind of support their teams.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely involved with what we do and just planning and thinking about it and interacting with donors. And, we do have kind of more of a partnership / investment type vibe to the people that are supporting this, as opposed to kind of pay for play. They're beyond that. They're like, they want this to be successful. It's not some kind of pay for access type thing in most cases. There's like genuine relationships. One of the things that we've done with the men's basketball development fund, and it was started by the outside collective guys. They have a monthly call with Chris, and they will put a couple players on it. It's not unlike this, where it's like an interview with them, and it's actually entertaining, and the people on the call make fun of each other. It's like it's kind of a cool little ecosystem. There's a text exchange where all the quote directors are on, so it's informative and entertaining, and almost there's a cool social community aspect to it too.
Hey, you mentioned the collective. It's one of these questions I have about this transition period we're in, because like you said, it's like, that the settlement just happened. I guess it was July 1 was the effective date of that. Like, does a collective still exist? Is it changing its structure, or is that like not needed anymore because of these new funds?
So it doesn't really exist anymore. I mean, in the past, they were actually raising money and dealing with their coaching staffs and dealing with the student athletes and their representation to do all the mechanics and administration and pay, et cetera. So that doesn't really exist anymore. That's all in-house. We do have a consultant who Chris Schumann, who you guys may know. He worked with our collective last year, but he also does this with BC and SMU and St. Mary's, and he is advising the university and all things compliance and all things NIL, and he's working with our coaching staffs and the players and their representation to forge those business relationships going forward, I guess is a way to say it. But he was involved last year, but they don't have anything to do with the actual fundraising going forward. So
Yeah, there's a whole nother side to this, not the topic today, but it's like fascinating that now, players have agents and there's negotiations. There's a whole side to this business that, didn't exist 5 years ago. I'm curious. So it's like thinking of the collective, which in sense, let's say ended in June 30, if you want to just look at fiscal years, so is in some ways, is the current rosters like funded by the collective because they had the money before, and now like you're on the future, like in a sense the funds you're raising is for like the upcoming portal, the players in high school that were recruiting for like next year's team. How does that transition work?
short answer is yes. I mean, yeah, we're raising money for the future. One of the things we can get into is some of the kind of benefits to the individual donors and the institution is the way we're doing it now. But yeah, to answer your question, essentially that money had been raised, before June 30th to quote, fuel this year's situation. And we're definitely trying to do multi-year commitments from donors to give visibility in, roster, recruiting, retention, et cetera. And then, as I said, some of the benefits to the donor are that it can count as, ongoing campaign gift, which we are not too far away from for the university. It counts towards your, reunion fundraising goals if you're on a class reunion. And then, some other advantages. It's fully tax deductible where it wasn't last year. And you can also give security. So if you guys are sitting on Microsoft or NVIDIA stock, we can save you 25% of capital gains as well as the tax deductibility. So literally, I kind of jokingly say, but it's basically true. It's writing a check or giving money this year with securities is a 60% better deal than it was last year. So.
Wow. That's good.
That's interesting.
So anyway, but for the institution and for the coaches, having some visibility on like, written pledges over somewhere between 2 and 4 years gives them some flexibility to figure out what's coming. It's not unlike, when we borrow money to build a building, we have, these 5-year gift agreements, and they can plan based on what's coming in or what's on paper as committed to do that. And it's not dissimilar from building a roster over the long term.
Yeah. Has there been any big surprises or kind of as you come in? I mean, obviously you've been fundraising for a while now, but anything with kind of the new structure, the rules, kind of education of alumni, kind of what's been anything that's been surprisingly good or challenging?
Well, I think I would say like people are responding to this positively and understanding that this is the new world order, and the university and all these other schools have been happy to share revenue with the student athletes, who you can argue are primarily responsible for generating it on the big picture, big stage, and so that is a agreeable proposition, but definitely. Now that it's in-house and it's like kind of almost like decided law at the national and NCAA and conference level, and we have opted in, and the university leadership is fully behind this. They're like, all right, okay, cool, great. Yeah. So there's definitely some education on a big scale, way. We've done, radio spots and direct emails and media releases and all that kind of stuff to try to mass educate, if that's the right way to say it. But, one-by-one meetings and interacting with people, they're mostly supportive. But we're still early days. I mean, there's a lot of people that kind of address individually about, will you support this as part of your ongoing or new commitment to the University of Richmond in general and specifically athletics.
Yeah, I guess as a trick of this, like in the grand scheme of things, it's in the long term, it's not the right answer if just money's moving around Richmond,
Right. Yeah.
right? This is like you want to add more funds, and obviously focused on basketball, and that's what our podcast is. But yeah, it doesn't do the university a great favor if it's just taking $10 from one fund and putting it in another.
It's certainly nice too.
So we're definitely not. Yeah, the idea is not to cannibalize, but to be accretive.
And it's certainly nice to see both teams doing well this year. I mean, that makes it, you can sell the vision because the teams are doing so well,
Yeah, no, that's definitely helpful. And I think there's a direct correlation on what the rosters look like with this too. I mean, they're happy to have who they have, now and down the road, will continue to be important.
Jim, if you could send one message to the listeners of Spider Sound Off, Spider fans all over the U.S. and some international about the future of the program and what you're doing to help it, what would it be?
Well, I would say we'd love to have everybody involved in this. And, the purpose of this is certainly to fuel men's and women's basketball, but it's definitely to take advantage of men's and women's basketball for, like I said, a big picture alumni and community engagement. I mean, one of the things we're doing is, we've taken some of our, important donors on the road to the Texas game, in Austin. But as part of that, we partnered with the alumni office and ran a full pregame alumni event for everybody in Texas or anybody that traveled, and used this, opportunity to engage our Austin, population and anybody in Texas or anywhere else that would travel. Similarly, we did that in Nashville with the Belmont game, and ended up running into a bunch of former Spider student athletes that now expressed interest in getting involved in this or something else. And then, the New York trip is coming to Fordham. That's a huge alumni population where there'll be an event before the game, and many supporters will go to the game and travel for it as well. And then obviously, the A10 tournaments, and we have similar planned events in Chicago and Washington and Philadelphia. So obviously, hopefully we'll generate more, interest and donors from all that. But it is about big picture engagement for the entirety of the university. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. And, we deal with people all the time that are we want to make a commitment to the whole university, and like I said, multiply designate. I mean, we got people that are doing scholarships and supporting the business school and the general annual fund, and contributing to men's and women's basketball student athlete development funds, all in one deal or relationship. So that's kind of the idea.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, personally, I want to thank you for what you're doing. I know it's raising money is tough work, and it's not an easy thing to do. So thank you, because it's supporting the programs that we love. And you got two great ambassadors, and Coach Mooney and Coach Roussel. So I mean, anything we can do to support their success, we're all in. We're for it. So thanks so much for doing what you do, and thank you so much for coming on to Spider Sound Off to tell everybody about how they can help.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me, and enjoyed talking about this. It's always interesting to see what people's perspectives are on it, now as opposed to the past, and where it's going, and trying to hone our message to people, and give them options about how to support the university, of which this is obviously one that has been fully vetted by the institutional leadership. So anyway, thank you guys for all you do for Richmond men's and women's basketball.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
We learned a lot in that session.
Just a really great guy, and really insightful into the program and how we can help it. So really,
yeah, that's right. And a lot of things to look forward to in the future, and continuing to build both of those programs.
Absolutely.
Okay, we got some games this weekend we want to go into.
We do.
We have 2 games on Saturday, one on the road, one at home.
Yes.
And in between the games is Spider Brews.
Spider
Do you have your
Brews.
tickets to
I
Spider
actually
Brews?
bought one ticket to Spider Brews.
One ticket?
Yes.
That's all one person needs.
That's all one person needs is to come to Spider Brews with one ticket. So
That's right. So Spider Brews is in between. We will start, and maybe a good place to start. The first game is the women play at Liberty
tough game.
Saturday, 2 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Let me tell you a little bit about Liberty. Yeah, I was talking to Porter before the pod. They scare me.
Yeah.
So they're 6-2. They're in Conference USA. If folks don't remember how all these teams have bounced around, they won the conference last year. Right now, they're 96 in both Bardovic and Net.
Yes, they're
So
very
top
good.
100.
They just beat George Mason.
Yeah, they've won 4 in a row, including just beating George Mason. And I saw the highlights of that game. Like they hit a 3-point basket to tie it.
Wow.
And then George Mason had a chance to win it, and they stole the ball from George Mason. And then on their way down the court, got fouled, taking a shot, missed the first free throw, made the second to win by 1 point.
Wow. What an inning. What an ending. We wanted the A10 to win that one, but at least we get to play them so we can maybe right the ship for the A10.
Yeah, so they've won 4 in a row. Their 2 losses are to Duke at home.
Okay.
Duke's a top program. And they lost at JMU.
JMU's good.
Earlier this season.
Really good.
So they're beatable for sure. A little bit about the program. So they had a longtime coach retire this summer. His name was Kerry Green. He was at Liberty for
kind of a legend.
Yeah, that's right. There for 26 years, had 26 seasons. He won 15 regular season conference titles and 16 tournaments.
Wow.
I first saw that he won 31 conference titles. Like, how do you do that in 26 years? Well, that's how he did it. He's coached them to the NCAA tournament 15 times.
Yeah.
And they went to the Sweet 16 in 2005.
Oh, wow.
So, like, you could look at their program and say they're where we are. I mean, and they've gone in the tournament. They've gone farther. We just had our first win just within the last year, and they've been to the Sweet 16. So that's a great program.
I debated driving out to Lynchburg to support the ladies and watching that in person. I don't think I'm going to get out there this weekend, but I debated it in my mind anyway for a hot minute.
So their new coach is a longtime assistant. So there's not this big change in philosophy. It's kind of let's keep doing what we were doing. His name is Alexis Sherrard.
Okay.
And so he's the assistant coach. This is his first year. So we can hope maybe he's going to learn some tough lessons playing Richmond. A little more about Liberty. So, and this is kind of their fundamental approach. Last year, they were top 10 nationally in rebound margin. So this is a team and a philosophy that they hit the glass. They out-rebounded their opponents last year, out-rebounded them by 9 per game. So this is not beating them by 1. They've out-rebounded teams. And I wouldn't say, like, I think we're good at rebounding, but that's not like a huge strength of our team. So we've got a team that's really tries to use that to their advantage. And they're shooting the 3 a lot more the last few years than they used to. So I think they used to be like all inside power. They're now shooting a lot of 3s as well. So they're kind of outside in. They did win Conference USA last year. There's a few players to look out for, and this is kind of this year's stat. So 5'9" sophomore Avery Mills.
Okay.
I know you like that BPM stat.
Yes.
11.4 BPM.
That's good.
She's averaging almost 17 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2.4 assists. Had 24 against George Mason, so she's coming off a big game. They have a 6'3" sophomore Emmy Stout. They're a young team, so I look across their big minutes players, their best players. Emmy Stout's a sophomore,
Wow.
7.6 BPM.
Wow.
She averages 16.6 and 7 rebounds. She had 22 against George Mason.
Wow. 6'3"?
6'3".
Yikes.
And they have a red shirt freshman center, Ife Nawobi, who's 6'2", and she had 12 rebounds against George Mason.
Man, they've got size.
So they've got some size, and they can shoot. Avery's definitely an outside shooter as well. So that's, again, I looked at this team. They scare me. Now, where's their weakness? They average 19 turnovers per game. So they give up the rock to the other team. They had 30 in one game, 30 turnovers.
Okay.
Actually, they won that game, but they had 30 turnovers in the game. So, like, that's how we need to beat them. We need to force turnovers. We need to get them playing sloppy so we can get easy baskets. We've seen our team do that before, but I think that's the challenge. We're on the road.
Might see some press this game.
Well, I hope so. That's not one we've seen a lot of. We saw a little bit when we were trying to come back from Fairfield they tried doing some of that. But I wouldn't say the press has been our specialty.
Right.
So we'll see if they've worked on some new wrinkles, learning from the Fairfield game to make sure on the road that you don't want to get behind on the road, and we can't keep coming out slow, especially on the road. We really haven't had we had the neutral site games. We've had some road wins. I wouldn't say we're an experienced road team yet. I mean, the season's only a quarter in, but it's obviously not our first road game, so we're a little bit used to it. So hopefully we get our best. I'm pretty sure the coach is going to have them ready after that.
Yeah, I can't recall, Rousseau with back-to-back losses. I don't know when the last time that happened was. So look for us to be prepared and look for us to take a hot minute to let some frustration out after that Fairfield game. So
yep, and that's again 2:00 at ESPN Plus. Then Porter and I we'll get to watch some of that, and then we'll hit Spider Brews, which is, I think it's $15, and they when it's winter time, it's kind of in the gym, the old carpet gym, which is much nicer than it used to be. And it's $15. They have a whole bunch of local brewery beer on tap and a little bit of food. So looking forward to that.
That'll be great.
And then we're going to go into that to a little liquored up to a home game for the men later that afternoon.
We're working that night. I don't know how liquored up we'll get. Maybe just one beer for me. That's my limit. So, and we got Southern Illinois, folks, and Southern Illinois is it's going to be a test. So it's no pushover. So let's start with where it is. It's in Carbondale, Illinois. They're out of the Missouri Valley Conference. Carbondale, Illinois is in the southern part of Illinois. So it's actually 332 miles from Chicago. It's closer to Nashville, Tennessee. It's 200 miles to Nashville,
So their
Tennessee.
name kind of works.
Yes, it is. Southern Illinois is in Southern, but you never realize how long that state is until you look at it on a map.
Right.
The Saluki is an ancient breed of dog. It's actually one of the world's oldest dog breeds. It was an ancient Egyptian hunting dog, dating back 6,000 years, known for its incredible speed, over 42 miles per hour. So,
And they had a lot of those in Southern Illinois.
I'm guessing they call it Little Egypt. I didn't actually drill on that link to see why they call it Little Egypt, but that's a little bit why they got to the Saluki. Some of their famous alumni from Southern Illinois, Jim Belushi, the actor and comedian, Jenny McCarthy, actress, model, and television host, and Melissa McCarthy, one of my favorite female comedians, who's just a wonderful writer, producer, and actress.
And she just hosted SNL.
She just hosted SNL. So,
how about that?
Melissa McCarthy. So the men's basketball team is coached by a guy named Scott Nagy. Nagy is 591 and 351 over his career. Very experienced coach, 627 winning percentage, ranks number 17 in wins amongst active Division I head coaches. He started his coaching career at South Dakota State, where he was the head coach for 21 years. He led South Dakota State's transition from being non-D1 to D1. So he stayed all the way through that. The last 6 years he was at South Dakota State, he made 3 NCAA tournaments. So he can coach. He parlayed that job to the Wright State job out of the Horizon, where he spent 8 years. Every one of those years he had a winning record. 2 of those years he made NCAA tournament appearances. And this is his second year at Southern Illinois. So good coach, good program. A little bit about their team. They play 9 guys, double-digit minutes. So a lot like us, they're going to run a deep rotation. Their leading scorer is a guy named House, who's a 6-foot guard. He hails from Louisville, Kentucky. They play some good basketball there, I hear.
I would think House would have to be an inside guy. So their House is their outside guy.
He might roundhouse us from the outside. You got to be careful.
True.
So it's he leads them with 14 points. They've got 2 big brothers inside. They actually started their U.S. journey in Minnesota. They're called the Aligbe brothers. The older brother, Prince Aligbe, is 6'7", 235 pounds. He played at Minnehaha Academy in Minnesota, where he was teammates with Chet Holmgren and Jalen Suggs.
Wow.
He had offers from just about every major in the country. It seemed like I gave you a snapshot, but just a few of the places he had offers: Arkansas, Florida, Illinois, Iowa, Tennessee, UCLA. He was, considered a major get. I think he started, from what I can tell, at Boston College his first year, then went to Seton Hall, and then this is his 3rd year. He's now at Southern Illinois. His younger brother joined him there. His younger brother is 6'9", so bigger than the older brother. His name is Rollins. He's a force inside as well. Combined, they kind of play a little bit like we rotate Walls and Beagle. They combine for about 42, 43 minutes a game, averaging about 11 rebounds per game as a combination duo. Some fast facts about Southern Illinois this year. Very interesting style.
What's their record?
Their record right now. So we're actually recording this. They have a game tomorrow night. So we're recording this on Tuesday before they play that game tomorrow night. So they've got 5 wins and 4 losses.
Okay.
So pretty good record, but
that's mediocre record.
Yeah, but they play some tough games.
Yeah,
I'll give you that in just a second. Let me tell you about their style. So from what I can tell, just looking at their page, they prefer to move the ball inside. So they are only getting 17% of their points from 3-point land. They do not have a high percentage out there. They're only shooting 27%. So they're going to try to move the ball inside. They are second to last in the country in the amount of points they get from behind the 3-point arc. They are also second in the country in the amount of points they get from inside the 3-point arc. So they're going to try to pound it inside on us. It's going to be a game where, you need the 5s to show up. You need Daughtry, to have a big game. We're going to need to keep those big boys off the blocks. It's going to be a good game. Now, overall games, they played Memphis, they played Nevada, they played some good teams, took Nevada to overtime on the road. They beat High Point last week, and that's a big win. High Point is number 89 in Ken Palm. They beat them at High Point, which is a really tough place to play. And just to give you some context, High Point has a like opponent with us. High Point beat Furman by 26 points at Furman, on a neutral court. So 26 points earlier in the year. So High Point can play. Southern Illinois can play. We are favored to win the game. The statistical services say we're about 70% likely. We don't want these guys to get hot from 3. That was kind of our fear looking at the Furman games. Like, they've been underperforming there. Let's keep them underperforming.
But the good news is it's not that they're shooting 30 a game and they're just shooting poorly. That's just not their strategy.
Right. It's not what they do. Right. Yeah. They like to work from the inside out. So it's going to be a good game. We're going to need a lot of fans there, folks. So make sure you get your tickets to the game. Come out, support the team. Like we said, this team is 8-1. They're fighting like crazy to get national respect, and they're starting to get on a lot of radars. We're starting to creep into those best mid-major lists I've seen this week. So, let's come out and support the team. I think it's going to be a great game. It should be a close game. It's not going to, if it's a 20-point blowout by us, that would be a surprise. But, I think it's going to be a really good game.
Hey, and speaking of the men's game, it was kind of interesting this week. I subscribed to a few different things, and 2 different newsletters kind of mention the Richmond Spiders men's team as kind of in some sort of like team to watch. Like we're just starting to get some national press now that 8-1. I think some of that comes from kind of respect for our program in the longer term. So if you're kind of a national press person and you're focusing on mid-majors and all of a sudden you see this Richmond team that wasn't ranked high to begin the year or wasn't predicted to do great in the A10 at least, is now 8-1 and seeing top 100. One of them is a newsletter called Bracket Busters. They had us in their heat check.
Nice.
One of the things they liked is that our Ken Palm is a little over 100. We were 104 in adjusted offensive efficiency and 104 in defensive adjusted efficiency. So they said it was kind of like, you don't often see that where a team is right there for both. A lot of teams are, top 50 in one and, 250 in the other.
Does Bracket Busters follow us on Insta?
I have no idea.
I think they do, actually.
Also, it mentioned kind of how, and we've talked about it here, we have the deepest bench, not just kind of what we see when we're at the game, but statistically, first in Division I with over 48% of the minutes coming from the bench. So that's all kind of leading to where we are.
Bracket Busters following us on Insta.
So
nice work. Thanks for the heads up, guys, and thanks for the love. We love it. We believe in this team too.
And there is another one. It was like basketunderreview.com. We are one of the teams of the week.
Okay.
So that was exciting to see. Just, these are things that I've subscribed to because they do talk about mid-majors more than just kind of the top teams. But it's really the first time I've seen our men's team mentioned 2 times this week. So that's always exciting to see kind of others talking about our team. Let's just hope that there's more to talk about next week after a nice win on Saturday.
I think we win this game. I think we win it in a close game. I'm going to say 8 points for us. But I think it's going to be like the ODU game. This team's going to give us a test inside. We're going to have to respond.
Yeah, hopefully if we can hit our threes, that's a nice neutralizer to a team that's just pushing in and they can shoot 50% from 2. But if we can hit a bunch of threes, all of a sudden you can offset a lot of that. So we will see. And we got to make our free throws. We were great I think 2 of the last 3 games we haven't been very good from a free throw. So I think
think
that's a strength of ours. But
one downside, I think the students will probably be on their winter break, so we probably won't have a huge student crowd just because they'll be off campus, is my guess.
yeah, it is finals week. I don't know if this is the end of finals week or they drip a little into next week. I'm guessing you're right; they're over. So probably the student section, well, the count may be 0, but that's not much lower than it's been, unfortunately.
We're going to get those students to turn out, folks. This team has earned the ability to have the students come out and support them. We will get that turned on by the end of the year. We're going to keep working on it. We got some ideas.
Well, we will be back with you after these weekend games for our normal Monday release to talk about the results of this weekend. Hopefully, the women's have a great trip and win in Liberty, and Spider Brews doesn't make us too hungover to do a pod on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Well, until next time, this is Tom.
And this is Porter.
And this is Spiders sounding off.
See ya.